welcome to College Focus. I'm Owen Klein, your host, and tonight's show, like all the others, is about the programs and the people here at the college, things that we hope you're interested in and things that we hope you will see as services to our community. And in that line, tonight we have with us the supervisor from an industrial resource center, Donna Morrow. Welcome, Donna.
Thanks, Owen.
You are a supervisor at the Industrial Resource Center, and right now you're on a special project.
That's right. I'm working with myself and a group of staff from the IRC are working with some folks at Canada Employment Centre to develop a short-term training program for people who've been laid off and are looking to be reemployed.
Plant closing concerns here.
Yes.
Okay, how did this get started?
Well, the situation here is quite well known. That there are many thousand people who have been laid off from their plants. Canada Employment Centre has some training funding available, and they approached the staff, the manager, Dan White of the IRC, to look at putting together a short-term training program so that they could quickly move some people from unemployment into employment at plants that might have some new technology that they may not be familiar with.
So what do you do with them now? Once you've identified a group of people, how do you proceed?
Well, we're still in the very developmental stage at this point. Working with a committee, we brought together some industry people who may be in a position to hire when the employees are finished their training. And basically we're asking them to give us feedback. What kind of an employee are they looking for? What kind of training do they think we should be offering to laid off workers that would get them ready for what they call the new work environment, which may have some new technologies they're not familiar with, some new ways of doing their work that if a worker has been at a plant for 10, 15, 20 years, doing basically the same kind of work, they may need some updating in what they're calling the new work environment.
And after 15 or 20 years, this worker would be laid off. Who would refer them to you, or would they come on their own?
No, they would probably be working with an adjustment committee within their plant, in most cases, not always, but in most cases. If a plant has over 50 workers, and there's a large layoff, there's automatically an adjustment committee process that goes into place. And so there's a group of concerned citizens and management and government people who are working with those workers to help them get reemployed.
Is that the law, an adjustment committee?
Yes.
It is?
Yes.
So that committee then has been dealing with you. Have you had any client groups to date?
No, because we're still developing the program. The development process takes a while to make sure that we have the type of training that industry is going to want for their new hires, and also there's an approval process that has to happen federally through the government and locally here at the college. Everyone has to agree, yes, this is the appropriate training.
So the money for the training kicks in from outside agencies?
It kicks in from the federal government. They're the people who are saying, we have some funding, we'd like you to put together a training program for laid off workers.
Okay, now, do you relocate as well? Do you talk about relocation, or are you talking about our area here in Windsor?
At this point, we're just talking about a program being run at the Industrial Resource Center here in Windsor. Are you asking me about
this is totally off the wall, but if someone said that there was a new fish processing plant opening up in the Maritimes, they needed 100 workers, you wouldn't train for that?
No, we're working with our local industry people to find out what they want, because they're the people who the laid off workers are more likely to be going to. There aren't that many people who've been laid off after a fairly long period of time with a plant who are really looking at relocating. They're usually from in a well-established family situation. Perhaps a spouse is here working, they have family, and they're not about to pick up roots. It's not that many that want to do that.
How many do you anticipate you can handle at one time? We're
looking at a fairly small program as a pilot, probably 15 to 20 students.
And you would be doing the training at the Industrial Resource Center?
Yes.
How about any on-site training in the plants that have closed or in new plants? Would that be available?
The curriculum we're looking at right now will probably have about 2 weeks of work experience towards the end of the program.
How long a curriculum is it?
We're looking at a 20-week program now, 18 weeks in the Industrial Resource Center and 2 weeks out in the workforce. But it's still, in the developmental stage.
What's the person who's in this program? What are they living on during that period?
Unemployment insurance.
They're living on their On their UI.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, in terms of the problems that you've confronted, you're gearing up right now. Surely you have a feel for some of the things that have kind of gotten in your way. What would you like to see out of your way at this stage?
Well, actually, there aren't any problems that I'd like to see out of our way. It's a very interesting process to work with industry people to find out what they want. And maybe you'd like to hear about some of the comments that they have regarding the type of training they think a worker who's been in the workforce for a fairly long time still needs to have. They're looking at the main theme that runs through most of their comments is the quality issue. They're looking at helping workers to see themselves as a very large part of the quality process in a plant, and that they see their part in producing a quality product. They see their part in keeping the end customer happy, and that they understand the management process in the plant, what's involved in keeping a plant profitable, what's involved in keeping a plant profitable enough to stay here and not close down as so many plants have done.
Now, how would you incorporate that into curriculum, this concept of quality? What is some curriculum devices that you might use here?
Well, part of it will be the actual technical parts of quality, which is statistical process control and the actual quality awareness programs. There are some that are already being offered in other programs here at the college. We'll be incorporating some of that standard curriculum. The other part will be incorporated throughout the whole program, which is as you work on another subject, for example, we talk about how quality is affecting this particular subject that we're studying, how it fits into the manufacturing process, how it fits into drafting, that kind of thing, what quality means at this point along the way.
We may have some viewers out there who are unfortunate enough to be looking for a program like this right now. Do you have some target dates?
We're looking at probably late January, early February as a startup time, but that all depends on approval process and that kind of thing.
Once again, approval, governmental approval for the local committees,
yes,
things of that nature.
Yes.
Do you do some projections as well on the economy? Do you have someone letting you know what the possibilities are for the economy in Windsor?
Well, the Canada Employment Centre are kind of the experts on that when we're working with them to develop training for them. They have standardized, or not standardized, but every year they develop a list of high demand areas, skill shortage areas and that kind of thing. So we kind of leave that part up to them if they know the type of training they'd like to purchase.
How about the overall timelines now? You're starting the program. I assume we've not had this before.
No.
We haven't. How long do you see it in operation? Do you think it'll be an ongoing?
Well, certainly as long as we have the number of plant closure victims that we do, I would hope that that Canada Employment Centre will be interested in purchasing that kind of training again. But it really is up to them, you know, if the program is a success, the industry people say, yes, this is the kind of worker we want, and the employees are saying, yeah, this is the kind of training I need, then I would expect that the federal government would be interested in purchasing.
And who will deliver the training?
I would expect the St. Clair College would deliver.
The faculty at the
Yes.
IRC at St. Clair College.
Yes.
Would there be contract people coming in as well, possibly? Or?
It depends on the schedule of full-time faculty, of course, but we're hoping to involve some community industry people as part of the learning process, that they'll come in and talk to the students, the laid-off workers who are now students, or will be students, about the real world out there, what it's like to work in their respective plants, what they're looking for in a worker when they're looking to hire somebody, so that there will be a constant flow of kind of real situations. But as far as the teachers, they'll be mainly full-time faculty with perhaps some part-time.
Well, that's great. Donna, thank you very much for being on, telling us about the program. When you get it going and when you've got a lot of students and it's a roaring success, we'll have you back on the show. We can talk about it some more.
Good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. And we'll be back in just a few moments after this public announcement.
When you feel desperate about your life, that's when we can help. We're here to listen and understand and offer suggestions, give you advice, but we're not here to tell you what to do. We can talk to you on the phone, or we can meet you in private. We'll talk about you and your life and your problems. We're here to help you get back in control of your life.
Welcome back. We've got a very special guest for this segment. He's a guest to the college, and it is Livingstone Waith. Welcome to the show, Livingstone.
Thank you.
You're up here from, and let me get this name right, you're from Samuel Jackman Prescott Polytechnic in Barbados.
That's correct.
And you're over there at the IRC observing our programs, looking and seeing what we're doing, and you're going to take it back with you, or
Yes,
what are you going to do with it?
I hope to take it back with me and use it at the college, at the Polytechnic.
Okay, you're a professor down there.
I am.
What do you teach?
Mechanical engineering.
Mechanical engineering, so what we're doing at the IRC is quite handy. How about what's going on here on the main campus, and South Campus rather? What, have you had a chance to wander around here and investigate things?
Well, I do some programs here as well in the area of mechanical engineering. At IRC, I do what they call IMM, Industrial Maintenance Mechanic. But
So you're
I've-
teaching here?
at IRC?
Yeah.
No, I'm not. I'm observing
You're just observing, okay.
at IRC.
Uh-huh.
At St. Clair College South Campus, I also do some observation in the CNC lab and in AutoCAD.
Well, what this is all leading up to, from my point of view, is where do you see any comparisons between here and what you would be doing back in Barbados?
Well, in fact, the reason why I'm here is that we are about to launch a new program in industrial maintenance mechanic. In fact, we call it plant maintenance, where we're looking at from the installation of the equipment to the very maintenance of the equipment.
And so by looking at what we have here, now are you developing curriculum while you're here? Are you writing curriculum to bring back?
Unfortunately not. We have almost got a program developed at home. Here, what I'm looking at is the practical aspects of it. Many people do maintenance at home, but on a very ad hoc basis. Here, I'm trying to get the formal side of the maintenance mechanic.
How much success do you think you'll have in transposing that concept back into your curriculum?
It should not be very difficult. My head of department was here, and he looked at the program. He thought it was good for us, and it would have been very easy to transfer it to Barbados.
How about yourself now? You've been up here for 3 months. Enjoying it? Yeah, of course,
Yes,
dangerous to say no, isn't it?
Yes, I am enjoying it. Unfortunately, I keep thinking of my kids at home. My son is 21. He is at the university. My daughter is 12 years. She is at high school. And, of course, my wife.
And
right.
they've not been up to visit, as you mentioned earlier to me when we were talking. Where's your son at university?
He's at another territory called Trinidad, and he's studying surveying.
Oh, very good. Now, what are some of the other programs at Samuel Jackman? It's a polytechnic. What's the range of programs down there?
Oh, it's a very wide range of subjects we teach. We teach from shoemaking to electronics. And the majority of these subjects are taught in the craft level. But we do have some areas at the technician level. Like, for example, the electronics, we teach up to technician's level.
In terms of funding, we fund our colleges more or less 90% out of the tax base. How do we fund the colleges in Barbados?
The colleges are mainly funded by government. We have two systems there, either entirely funded by government or entirely privately funded. In our case, the Samuel Jackman Prescott Polytechnic, we are entirely funded by government. So everything we are given through government.
So does the student have any costs going to Samuel Jackman?
Minimal costs. We have costs of registration, costs of a few minor tools and books, but it is very minimal. Government subsidizes it.
I'm sure there's some things that took getting used to while you were up here. You have another month to go. You'll be getting used to some snow if you haven't experienced that. But what are some of the experiences you've had since you've been here that you'd kind of you'll be telling your friends back in Barbados?
Well, of course, as you must know, I am here with 3 others. That is one instructor in the area of carpentry, another one in cosmetology, and the other in electronics. I would say we are very fortunate. We have been able to visit some of your firms and see how they do their business. Of course, we haven't got anything quite as large as you have here. But nevertheless, a firm is a firm as far as we're concerned. A plant is a plant. So we have seen a few of your plants, and we were very surprised at the quantity of work you do, and we were impressed with the variety of firms that you have here.
Well, of course, we're sitting in a very much of an industrial center next to Detroit down here in southwestern Ontario. What do you see as the future of industry in Barbados and the Caribbean as you see it now?
Well, at the moment, it is very difficult to anticipate what will happen in the future. We have found ourselves in a very strange position in that we cannot compete with the industrialized countries, the developed countries, and neither can we compete with some of the lesser developed countries. On the one hand, you have America and yourself, Canada. On the other hand, you have Mexico and Thailand, who can offer things at a very cheap rate. We tend to find ourselves just about in the middle of these 2 groups. And we, as I said, it is very difficult for us to compete either at the top or at the bottom. We find ourselves in the middle. And we cannot say exactly. Our main thrust at the moment is in tourism. But as soon as anything happens on the island, that fluctuates so much that you cannot really depend on that.
Now, in terms of natural resources on the island, are they limited?
Very limited.
So you have to bring those in. How about, and you're saying labor costs range between North America and Mexico and Thailand?
It ranges between North America and Mexico.
Well,
so even though at one point we had an industrial thrust where many firms from America had relocated in Barbados, that has now sort of been phased out. And we have to make do with only a few firms.
Now, how about the question of, well, you mentioned the question of the labor costs and the future. What about those students who then don't see a future for themselves in Barbados? Are you losing any?
Well, fortunately, we can still rely on America and some of the same developed countries I mentioned to take some of our trained students. So when we train, we have to look at the local market, but also we look at the market of the developed countries. We have been sending some of our students to England, Germany, and America, of course.
So you're exporting trained students. That's one of your exports.
Of course, we're using that as one of our resources.
Well, okay. How about in the professions, the medical profession, the legal profession? When they go away for their training, do they come back?
Some of them do, but at the moment we are almost saturated with people in most of the professions, doctors and lawyers. In fact, percentage-wise, we perhaps have too many of both doctors and lawyers, if someone can say something like that.
That can't be all bad. Livingstone, thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate your coming here, and I hope you've enjoyed Windsor, Canada, and St. Clair College.
I certainly have. Thank you.
Great. We'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back to the show. Just a reminder, all of those public service announcements that you see during our spots there are produced by the students here and the staff at St. Clair College, as is this show. I'd like to go to our guest, another student from the IRC, Margaret Price, who is a student in heating, refrigeration, and air conditioning. Now, you said a non-traditional student in one of those programs. How non-traditional are you, Margaret?
I'm a minority in my class,
You're of
about 25.
class of 25, and how big a minority are you?
I'm the only one.
You're the only,
Yeah.
you're the only woman in there. You've been in there since January 22nd of last year. You told me that.
Of this year.
Of this year.
Of
before
1990.
1990, before we came on, you told me that. How are you coping?
I'm doing all right, holding my own in the class.
Why are
Uh,
there not more women in this field?
I don't know. It's very interesting. It's a very varied course.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of us who don't like office work, it's great.
How strenuous is it?
It's not that much. No more than an average housework, really.
That's what I would imagine with the modern technology. What are the range of subjects that you have to study in that program?
We do a lot of things. We do, well, obviously the heating, refrigeration, air conditioning, gas code, math, physics, English, welding, sheet metal, electronics, electricity,
Well,
quite a few.
okay, now how did you get into it? What prompted you to get into a non-traditional program as far as women are concerned?
That's where my interests are, mechanical stuff. And I like working with my hands. I think I'm pretty good with that.
Great. What high school programs did you have that helped you along that line?
I didn't have any.
You didn't have any.
No.
Is there anything in the high schools in the recent years, have they been doing more, is it your experience, to direct women into these types of programs?
I think they're opening up the classes more and more and letting them into the industrial classes. But when I went through, there weren't too many accepted in, really. I didn't apply for them either.
Mm-hmm. At what point did you decide that this is what you wanted, and how did you pick the IRC?
Previously I took a course in WIT, Women into Trades and Technology, and that showed me, like, we did carpentry, we did automotive, welding, all that stuff. And I found I was interested in, working with motors and welding. I like that.
Mm-hmm. There was a woman on here who was in the metal machining program, was on the show a couple of months ago, and was talking about some difficulties in finding employment. It was a special program. There had been 13 or 14 women in the program, and she left the program, was looking for employment, and found it was rather tough, and she was given a lot of interesting reasons why people were interested in hiring her. How do you see the field as far as going out and finding a job?
I don't think it'll be that hard to find a job. It's going to be tight. There's like 25 people in our class, but I anticipate any problems getting a job. When I talk to somebody about the course I'm in, they're interested.
Mm-hmm.
They think it's interesting that there's a woman in it.
Do you have any field placement in the program at the moment?
We have work experiences. We had 2 weeks of work experience in July, and I just finished 2 weeks beginning of this month.
And how were your experiences in the workplace?
Great.
Positive?
Great. I loved every minute of it.
What are some of the things that go on that you'd want to tell us about? Are there any, and again, let's emphasize or let's work on this concept of a woman coming into a non-traditional area. Were there any experiences that reflected that while you were in the workplace?
It's not too bad. I didn't have any problems there.
There were no problems? It was an accept?
No, I was very accepted.
Mm-hmm.
The people I was with, the guy joked all the time. He said, "This is my new apprentice." It made me feel really at ease.
Well, that's great. In terms of the program now, would you recommend that other women get into this program and other programs at IRC?
Definitely.
Definitely. What are some of the things that you'd say they needed as preparation for it?
Well, myself, even though I had grade 12 diploma, I still went back and I upgraded in my math.
Mm-hmm.
I took sciences, which I hadn't taken in high school, so I stressed those too.
So you went
Take
back...
your math and your sciences, yeah.
Okay, you went back to high school to do this?
No, I went to the to St. Clair College, the adult
Adult retraining program and upgraded in those
upgrading,
areas.
yeah.
So you'd recommend those for anybody getting in. How long is your program? How long will you be at St. Clair before you're ready to go out in the workplace?
64 weeks. We started in January. We should finish around the end of April.
Okay, around the end of this April.
this coming April, yeah.
Okay, any job prospects at the moment, or you just figure, oh, you'll wait till spring? And
Well, we still have one more work experience coming up. The people I was with this past work experience said I could come back there,
Mhm.
and you never know what happens after the course is
Do you have a
done.
favorite? Now, there's heating, refrigeration, and air conditioning. Do you
I
have a
love refrigeration.
Do you? Why?
I don't know, it just seems to, it's a challenge and I really enjoy it.
What is there special about it?
I don't know, it's just, maybe it's the instructor, he's a good instructor.
And refrigeration, what are some of the examples of refrigeration, if we're talking?
Something as simple as when you walk into a convenience store, the freezers, the novelty freezers you find your ice cream in, the upright freezers,
Mhm.
the ice machines, things like that.
Or in the larger units that they use to
They have,
keep
you know, in
meat
restaurants,
cool and
the walk-in coolers, walk-in freezers, all
Oh.
that. It just seems to hit it with me. I like it.
you like refrigeration.
Hmm.
There's something in that area for you. Where do you see yourself in 5 years with this training?
Hopefully, as soon as I finish my course, I'll get in with somebody who will set me up for an apprenticeship. And I'd like to get my ticket in refrigeration and air conditioning.
So there's an apprenticeship and then a formal ticket and whatever. Okay.
Interprovincial ticket you can get. You can go anywhere in Canada to work.
Would you stay in Windsor, or do you have other areas in Canada you'd prefer to go to?
I don't know. I lived out west in BC for a couple of years. I liked it there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'd like, you know, I wouldn't be averse to heading back out there.
They need
But if-
refrigeration in BC.
Hmm.
Okay.
Everywhere.
Everywhere. Well, thank you very much for being on. I wish you luck with your program. And that's it for this week on College Focus. We hope that you'll be tuning into us next week when we will have more guests and we'll be able to tell you more about the college, its program, and its people. Thank you very much.